Well, rock and roll, we have a lot to talk about because I basically was pronounced dead on Elvis's birthday, December 8th.
Johnny Knoxville and Bam Margera have been engaged in a legal battle, but that might all be a thing of the past as Bam was recently on the verge of death. Heck, he was even pronounced dead. What did Johnny have to say about the whole situation? Does he feel any sympathy for the man he's having legal issues with? Find out in this video. Former Jackass star Bam Margera opened up about his recent near-death experience. Margera has been a member of the Jackass crew for over 20 years since the original MTV series developed by Jeff Tremaine, Spike Jonze, and Johnny Knoxville established the franchise based on increasingly ridiculous stunts and pranks. That is until he was dismissed during the making of his most recent film, Jackass Forever, for violating a substance misuse clause in his contract. He only appeared briefly in the final film. Margera has now appeared on Steve Wildo's Ride podcast alongside his former Jackass co-star. During his interview on the podcast, the Jackass star spoke up about his recent health issues, which began in December when he was diagnosed with pneumonia, was unable to breathe on his own, and was placed on a ventilator. Margera said that pneumonia was only one of the reasons for his hospitalization. He also had 5 seizures. He stated, "Basically, I was pronounced dead on December 8th. I did not know that I had gnarly COVID and my body was shutting down. I went into 4 seizures, each one lasting 10 to 20 minutes. On the 4th one, I bit my tongue so hard it was nearly falling off. It got so swollen and puffy it wouldn't fit in my mouth. I was drinking the infected blood, which gave me pneumonia as well. I went to the hospital and had my 5th seizure and then couldn't breathe without a tube down my throat. I woke up 5 days later thinking I was there for just a couple hours. I spent 8 days in there. When they took that tube out, I felt like I sucked on Darth Vader's DCK." Margera was sacked during the production of Jackass Forever for violating a contract agreement that required him to submit to periodic urine and breathalyzer tests and stay sober during filming. Tremaine was given a temporary restraining order against Margera a few months later after he allegedly issued death threats to him and his family. Margera would eventually sue the 3 Jackass producers and Paramount for wrongful termination, claiming that he was pushed into signing the wellness agreement and was subjected to other harsh abuses on production.
If you're a fan of mine, you would understand the f***ing pain that I'm going through with Jackass putting me through the ringer, dude.
Margera claimed in his lawsuit that he was only fired from Jackass Forever because he tested positive for Adderall, which he had been prescribed by a doctor for the previous 10 years. Margera's complaint was dismissed by Paramount as baseless, as were many of his claims. Though Margera later attempted to have the complaint dropped, the 2 parties eventually agreed to settle the case out of court, which means any facts remain private. Margera finally appears in Jackass Forever during the marching band stunt as well as on archival footage. Margera's lawsuit caused a lot of friction between him and his Jackass co-stars, but they have remained mainly supportive of him. According to the most recent podcast, Margera and Steve-O are still on excellent terms. Knoxville also stated that he had no ill will against Margera and only wants what is best for him. "I haven't spoken to Bam in about a year and a half, give or take 6 months," Knoxville told Variety. Jeff Tremaine, Steve-O, and I had a face-to-face meeting with Bam and his wife, trying to figure out how to get him help. Then we had a Zoom as a group not long after that, and that was the last time I talked to him. It boils down to, I love Bam, added the 51-year-old. I know that a lot has happened. I just wanted to get well for himself and his family. I love the guy, and I wanted to get well and stay well. The majority of the Jackass team appears to be willing to put the past behind them, which could signal positively for the franchise's future. While the future of Jackass 5 is unknown at this time, Margera may return to the franchise at some point. That is, assuming his health and legal issues do not prevent him from returning. Bam revamped his court-ordered rehab program last month, allowing him the freedoms of an outpatient while adhering to the requirements of an inpatient. Margera escaped from a Florida facility on several occasions, prompting the change. His Jackass co-star Steve-O, who is still struggling with sobriety, spoke with Margera recently on Sirius Satisfaction Talk earlier this month, adding that he will never give up on him. "I'd been physically present at almost every stop on his years-long tour of rehabs and psych wards. I'm careful never to try to push sobriety on anybody. I feel strongly that if you do that, what you're actually doing is pushing them away from sobriety," said Steve-O, who had Bam on his podcast. Knoxville, who is now co-starring in Hulu's new meta sitcom reboot, appears to be saying goodbye to any further Jackass antics. "You can only take so many chances before something irreversible happens," he told GQ last year. "I feel like I've been extremely lucky to take the chances I've taken and still be walking around." One of these instances where he was extremely lucky was a stunt involving a bull in Jackass Forever that essentially brought the production to a screeching halt. Yeah, I had 3 or 4 big stunts planned. I don't want to say what they were, but they were on the same level as the bull, Knoxville recalled to Variety. Even if I had gotten through the bull, I wouldn't have gotten out of the others. One of them would have taken me out. Bam Margera has been hesitant to return to the Hollywood scene, albeit for different reasons. Paramount's inhumane treatment of Margera cannot be countenanced, his suit said at the time. Margera was made to endure psychological torture in the form of a sham wellness agreement, and then ultimately terminated for his protected class status due to his medical condition and his complaints about defendants' discriminatory conduct towards him. On the surface of Margera's claims, it appeared that the former reality star was simply pissed off about his Jackass Forever firing, which reportedly occurred after he failed a drug test for Adderall. But if you listen to some of the claims Margera made in 2020 and 2021, a lot of what he says makes you feel sorry for the guy. According to Bam Margera, one of the key terms of his contract, when it came time to start shooting Jackass Forever with Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass team, was that he go to alcohol treatment and cease taking various substances, including Adderall. At the same time, according to Margera, the production team was perfectly okay feeding him a concoction of nearly 20 different prescription drugs. I go in for Adderall and alcohol, I come out on Zoloft, Visceral, Bupropion, Lithium, Concerta, Propranolol, Seroquel, Contrav, Trazodone, Vivitrol, Naltrexone, Latuda, Zyprexa, Lexapro, Abilify, Wellbutrin, Vraylar, and Adderall, because I have Ad and Klonopin, Margera told TMZ in an April 2021 video interview. Dr. Knoxville said, "You're allowed to take all that except Adderall and Klonopin," Margera recalled. I'm like, well, who are you to say? This is what the doctors say I need. And then it led to suicidal tendencies on all 18 medications that I was on. I'm like, well, what's the point of a $5 million contract you have to walk on eggshells and jump through your hoops, which is already impossible to obey if I'm dead? What the F is the point of having the money if I'm not here anymore? Because I was gonna die of a pill overdose or suicidal thoughts. Asked if he ultimately blamed the Jackass crew for his deteriorating health and mental condition in recent years, Margera didn't mince words, telling TMZ it was the definition of effing torture. They tortured me. I've been on Adderall for 13 years, 2 a day at 20 milligrams, and they don't want me to take it anymore, and I found myself sleeping all day. According to the Bam's Unholy Union star, the entire agreement between Margera and the Jackass guys was that Margera would willingly accept the help he needed to get sober. The only issue was that none of it was on his terms. That was certainly always going to be an issue for Bam, and it's hard not to see why he was so peeved off about the whole situation. So, do you think Bam Margera should go back to Jackass after this? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time!